Most men think attraction begins in the bedroom, but neuroscience says it begins in the brain. If you want deep intimacy, it's not about lasting longer or moving faster. It's about learning to tune her nervous system. Because when you can regulate her emotions, her body follows. Most people believe that intimacy begins with physical attraction or touch, but neuroscience paints a very different picture. The foundation of deep human connection starts in the brain in how two nervous systems interact and respond to each other. When you understand the biology of attraction, you realize it's not just about what you do, but how your brain communicates safety, focus, and desire through subtle signals. At its core, intimacy is a neurological event. When two people connect emotionally, their brains release a blend of neurochemicals, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. Each of these plays a distinct role. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, creates trust and emotional safety. Dopamine fuels excitement, novelty, and anticipation. Serotonin regulates mood and calmness, making us feel stable and content in another person's presence. When these chemicals work in harmony, they create a feeling of connection that feels both electric and safe. What's fascinating is that this entire process starts long before any physical closeness happens. It begins with attention. When you look at someone and genuinely listen, not to respond, but to understand, your brain mirrors their emotions through what are known as mirror neurons. These neurons help you feel what the other person is feeling, allowing empathy and resonance to form. In that moment, the other person's brain detects safety, and oxytocin levels rise. This chemical reaction lays the groundwork for attraction that's based not just on desire, but on emotional depth. This is why someone can feel instantly drawn to a person who makes them feel calm and understood, even if that person doesn't fit their usual type. The brain prioritizes safety and emotional synchronization over superficial qualities. When your presence signals emotional steadiness, focus, and genuine interest, it activates the deeper layers of the other person's nervous system, the part that craves connection, not performance. Understanding that intimacy begins in the brain changes everything about how you approach relationships. It's not about saying the perfect words or following a set of techniques. It's about creating an environment where both brains can relax and communicate freely. When that happens, attraction becomes effortless and real. True connection doesn't start with the body, it starts with presence, biology, and the subtle language of the mind. Presence is one of the most powerful yet underrated aspects of attraction and intimacy. It's not about what you say or do, it's about the energy you bring into the moment. When you are truly present with someone, your attention acts like a signal that tells their nervous system, "You're safe, you matter, I'm here." Neuroscience shows that when this happens, the brain releases oxytocin, the chemical responsible for trust and bonding. In a world full of distractions, presence has become rare, and that's exactly why it feels so magnetic. When you look at someone and your mind is scattered thinking about your phone, your next sentence, or how you're being perceived, the other person senses it instantly. Humans are biologically wired to detect attention and emotional congruence. If your eyes say "I'm here," but your mind says "I'm somewhere else," the body reacts with subtle tension. Heart rates and breathing patterns go out of sync, and emotional safety decreases. True presence eliminates that disconnect. It creates resonance between two people, allowing their nervous systems to mirror each other's calmness and focus. Presence isn't about staring or forcing intensity. It's about grounding yourself in awareness. When you breathe steadily, maintain soft but focused eye contact, and listen without judgment, your body language naturally communicates confidence and safety. This triggers oxytocin and serotonin in both brains, lowering stress levels and fostering trust. That's why people feel more comfortable opening up to someone who listens deeply rather than someone who just talks impressively. In relationships, presence is often the difference between shallow attention and genuine connection. It's what makes conversations meaningful, touches feel warmer, and silence feel comfortable instead of awkward. When you are present, you're not performing, you're responding. Your reactions become more authentic, your empathy sharpens, and your partner's body picks up those subtle cues of alignment. From a neurological perspective, presence regulates both people's emotional states. When one person stays calm and attentive, it stabilizes the other person's nervous system, making them feel grounded and seen. That's the real secret behind attraction that lasts. It's built on the quiet strength of being fully here, not the noise of trying to impress. Presence transforms moments into memories and chemistry into connection. The human brain is naturally drawn to rhythm. Whether it's the beat of a song, the flow of a conversation, or the pacing of touch, rhythm creates a sense of predictability that the nervous system finds comforting. But just as the brain enjoys stability, it also craves surprise, small moments of unpredictability that release dopamine and keep attention alive. This balance between rhythm and variation is at the heart of lasting attraction and emotional engagement. It's the same principle that makes a melody enjoyable. If it's too repetitive, it becomes dull. If it's too unpredictable, it becomes chaotic. The magic lies in the mix of both. In human connection, rhythm shows up in subtle ways. It can be the cadence of your speech, the timing of your responses, or the way you alternate between intensity and softness in your tone or energy. When you establish a consistent rhythm, steady breathing, calm movements, a grounded tone, the other person's body begins to synchronize with yours. This is known as physiological entrainment, where two people's nervous systems align. It creates a sense of familiarity and safety. But when you occasionally shift that rhythm, a pause in your words, a playful change in tone, a moment of silence, the brain releases dopamine in response to the novelty. It's a way of saying, pay attention, something new is happening. This alternating pattern of predictability and surprise keeps emotional engagement strong. Too much routine can numb desire. Too much unpredictability creates anxiety. When you master rhythm, you give both comfort and excitement, the two ingredients the brain needs to feel connected and alive at the same time. It's the neuroscience of attraction expressed through timing and flow. Being in rhythm with someone doesn't require effort or manipulation. It comes from awareness. It means listening deeply enough to feel their emotional tempo and adjusting naturally. When you laugh together, pause together, or breathe in sync, your nervous systems start to move in harmony. This rhythm communicates something deeper than words. It says, I understand your energy. And when that message is received, chemistry builds not just emotionally, but biologically. The secret isn't in trying harder. It's in being attuned, finding that perfect rhythm between stillness and movement, between comfort and surprise, that keeps connection alive. Breathing is one of the most powerful and primal forms of communication between two people, even when no words are spoken. From a neurological and physiological perspective, breath acts as a bridge between the body and the mind. When two people begin to unconsciously match each other's breathing rhythms, a deep form of connection begins to take place. This is called physiological synchronization, and it's a phenomenon supported by neuroscience. It means that both nervous systems start to operate in harmony, heart rates align, brain waves begin to mirror one another, and a sense of emotional attunement emerges without any conscious effort. Shared breathing often happens naturally when two people feel emotionally safe or deeply focused on one another. Think about how two people in love, sitting close, often find themselves breathing at the same pace. This is not coincidence, it's biology. The parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the body responsible for calm and relaxation, activates when breathing slows and deepens. When both people's systems fall into this relaxed state together, they begin to feel mutual calm, trust, and warmth. That's why synchronized breathing can dissolve tension and replace it with an unspoken sense of unity. The power of shared breath goes beyond relaxation, it creates presence. When you consciously focus on your breathing around another person, you naturally quiet your mind and become more aware of the moment. This grounded awareness sends strong nonverbal signals to the other person's brain, signals of safety, stability, and connection. In response, their body mirrors that state, and a feedback loop begins. Calm energy generates calm energy. From a scientific view, this exchange enhances oxytocin levels, which are responsible for bonding and emotional closeness. It's the same hormone that mothers and infants release when breathing together or when holding each other. The effect is universal. Our bodies are wired to connect through rhythm and breath. What makes shared breathing so profound is that it bypasses logic and language. You don't have to say anything to make someone feel connected. Your body communicates it through silence and rhythm. When two people share breath, it's as if their boundaries soften. The space between them becomes filled with awareness, warmth, and a kind of synchronized stillness that words could never capture. Words have immense power, not just because of what they mean, but because of how they affect the brain. When we speak to someone, our words either trigger safety and connection or distance and defensiveness. Compliments and affirmations are a vital part of emotional bonding, but the kind of praise we give matters deeply. Neuroscience and psychology both show that when we focus our words on a person's character, intelligence, or effort, instead of only on their looks, we activate parts of the brain linked to trust, confidence, and long-term attachment. In contrast, surface-level compliments may give a quick dopamine boost, but they fade quickly and can even create pressure or insecurity over time. When someone hears a compliment about their mind or actions, such as "I really admire the way you think," their brain interprets it as recognition of identity, not appearance. This builds emotional security because it signals that the other person sees beyond the surface. It tells the brain, you are valued for who you are, not just how you look. That kind of validation produces oxytocin, the hormone of bonding, and serotonin, which regulates mood and emotional balance. Together, they form a powerful neurochemical foundation for trust. Another reason verbal affirmation matters so much is that it shapes how the other person feels about themselves in your presence. If your words consistently reinforce safety, growth, and appreciation, their nervous system associates you with positive regulation, a calm and rewarding emotional state. They begin to feel that they can relax around you without judgment or performance. This is one of the strongest indicators of real connection, when someone's body feels at ease because of the way you communicate. Tone of voice plays a critical role, too. The human brain is more sensitive to tone than to the actual words spoken. A gentle, grounded tone stimulates the vagus nerve, which helps calm the heart and stabilize breathing. This is why sincerity matters more than poetic language. When your voice carries calm energy and respect, it speaks directly to the emotional centers of the brain. Verbal affirmation, then, isn't about flattery, it's about emotional recognition. It's the act of reminding someone that they are seen, understood, and valued for their essence. That kind of affirmation doesn't just make them feel good in the moment, it builds a foundation of safety and trust that lasts. Emotional regulation is the hidden foundation of genuine attraction and connection. It's the ability to stay calm, centered, and grounded even when emotions rise or situations become uncertain. Neuroscience shows that our nervous systems are constantly reading each other, scanning for cues of safety or threat. When someone is emotionally stable, their tone, breathing, and body language signal calmness, which the other person's brain immediately interprets as safety. That sense of safety allows attraction and trust to grow naturally. On the other hand, emotional volatility, sudden anger, anxiety, or tension activates the stress response in others, leading their brain to withdraw or shut down connection. In every human interaction, there is a subtle exchange of emotional energy. When one person is calm and self-regulated, it helps balance the other person's nervous system through a process called co-regulation. This is a biological mechanism where two people's emotional states begin to synchronize. A steady tone, relaxed posture, and composed energy can literally slow another person's heart rate and reduce their stress hormones. That's why calm people often feel magnetic. They provide emotional stability in a world full of overstimulation and noise. Emotional regulation doesn't mean suppressing feelings or pretending to be unshaken. It means understanding and managing your internal state so that emotions don't control your behavior. When you acknowledge your emotions without letting them dictate your reactions, you project strength and self-awareness. This balance communicates maturity, which the human brain associates with safety and dependability, two qualities that are deeply attractive on both a psychological and biological level. A regulated person can handle emotional tension without escalating it. In conflict, they listen rather than react. In moments of stress, they ground themselves through breath and awareness. Their calmness becomes contagious because it stabilizes the emotional field around them. The other person feels understood, not judged, seen, not threatened. That sense of steadiness allows vulnerability to surface, and that vulnerability is the root of deep connection. Ultimately, emotional regulation isn't just a skill, it's an energy that speaks louder than words. When you learn to control your inner world, you automatically influence the outer one. Attraction built on emotional stability lasts longer because it creates trust, comfort, and peace, the true language of connection.